So if we move on now from there to the next major cause for failure is wrong selection of a mate in marriage, or the modern day version would be the wrong selection of a partner in marriage. Ben, do you want to delve into that?
Yes, speaking as a resident expert, Gigi is my third wife. I'm sure my fourth wife is out there somewhere, but I have no desire to meet her. I'm done. I finally found the absolute right one, but let me have a moment of just openness and honesty. My first wife was a lovely lady, very intelligent. She was a registered nurse and so on, head of her class in high school and valedictorian and so on. She was perfect for the role of first lady of Holiday Magic Cosmetics, the company I was heading a little more than a year after she and I married. She's now dead, passed away of cancer. That was a winning decision. She was a wonderful lady. I messed it up and we divorced. The second one, who I will remain nameless, I call her Satan, was a one-woman crime wave, a one-woman crime wave that caused me unbelievable grief in my personal life and every conceivable way. I almost can't think of anything good to say about her, and probably she feels the same way about me. That was a career stumbling block. Several of my friends who were influential in my various businesses and investments on separate occasions, unbeknownst to one another, said almost exactly the same thing, which was, Ben, you can do better than that. And she was literally holding me back. And perhaps vice versa. I don't want to put it all on her. And then I met Gigi, and she was perfection reincarnated, perfect for me, just the right amount of humor and sarcasm and pushing back, and the right amount of kindness and love and everything. And I can take her anywhere, and know that not only will she do no harm, she will do, I'm better off if she's there. When we leave a large gathering or something in the months and sometimes years to follow, I hear more about how they met Gigi. One day she happened to be in a black outfit, all black, top to bottom. And a lady who met her there to this day, and I think that was 15, 20 years ago, refers to Gigi as the lady in black. She was sitting in the back of the room, pleasant and charming, but obviously in charge of everything that was going on. And that lady refers to Gigi as the lady in black. So you can, and there are numerous occasions over the years where I was ready to promote somebody or move them along, but I always run businesses where the family is part of what's going on. I don't want business to be a rival to the family. I want it to be a complement to the family. And there are several people who probably don't know to this day the reason they didn't get the promotion, didn't get put in charge of this company, was he or she was married to someone who couldn't make the trip. They would have been a detriment. I'll give you a quick example. At the Greenbrier in West Virginia, world-renowned resort, classy. I think they have 1,200, can have 1,200 guests. I'm quoting from memory, but they have 15 or 1,600 to take care of them. So it's, more than a one-on-one match. Unbelievable service and elegance. And some of the richest, wealthiest people in the world go there. I took 40 couples to Greenbrier. They had won a contest. And after we left, I'm sure Greenbrier just had staff meetings to discuss should they interrogate the potential guests before they arrived or not. Because we had some that just really shouldn't be at Greenbrier. They were in over their heads, socially, financially, etc. To the point it was not only embarrassing for me, it must have been embarrassing for them. One of them, who will remain nameless, had one of those bouffant hairdos. At the end of dinner, in the chandelier room, the crystal room, whatever they call it, the Greenbrier, she obviously finished her dinner. She reached into her hair and pulled out a bobby pin, a long bobby pin, straightened it out, leaned back on the back two legs of a Louis XIV borderline priceless chair, and began picking her teeth. And I said, Lord, please get me out of here. My family had gone to Greenbrier. We were reasonably well known there. I'd been there many times on my own. And so everybody knew who was head of the group and head of that table. And she's picking her teeth with a bobby pin. Well, she wasn't a big deal in the business, but her husband had been. His career came to an end that night. He was welcome to sell and make whatever money he made selling something, but upward mobility was no longer one of his opportunities, because for that trip, she may have been a wonderful mother, wife, etc. I don't know, but for that trip, she wasn't qualified. And I mean that life trip, not just the Greenbrier. We couldn't take him and put him where I wanted to if she came along.
Excellent way of putting it. Next one is another major cause of business failure is being overcautious. What would you define as being cautious and being overcautious? How would you define those sort of things? The two differences.
Well, overcaution is fear.
In any business. We all need to be cautious in any business, but being overcautious.
Well, there's a fine line between overcautious, which is fear and a real detriment, and super cautious, and the line is reckless. So you have to, like so many things in life, Mo, you got to find, as you know, you got to find that balance. I tend to be more aggressive than most people. Lean into it, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work. But I'm not reckless, and not being reckless has saved me from most financial disasters. Rucker and I, Jimmy Rucker, my running buddy and my first business partner, started making a lot of money rather quickly. And when that happens, people start coming at you with ideas and inventions and this and that. And there was one guy who was a doctor in Atlanta, and his partner, turned out they were only partners in this one little venture. They owned a large trailer park, and they invited us to be partners in the trailer park. Well, I was bulletproof. I went from making $100 a week to $40,000 a month, adjusted for inflation. That's a little over $400,000 US dollars a month from $100 a week. And nothing about me could fail. I was bulletproof. I was going to live forever. So when they said, we want you to be partners in the trailer park, and we'll go to the bank and set it all up and so on, I said, fine. They said, you just make the next payment due on the property. Not a problem. Well, the next payment was about most of the liquid cash that Rucker and I had. We were buying houses, rental houses, as investments. And so liquid cash, the next payment that they owed the bank was just about everything we had. Not a problem. This thing's pumping money in. We're making money. It'll all work out. Guy took my check, cashed it, came back and then said, now, what are we going to do to keep it out of foreclosure for the second of the 6 payments you're behind, or whatever it was? So we owned, Rucker and I together owned half of a huge trailer park in Atlanta, Georgia, for about 10 minutes. From the time I handed the guy the check till they foreclosed. Foreclosure papers were already in his lap. All he had to do was pull them out and hand them to the 2 other guys. and so on. That's reckless. I should have checked them out. They both had a history of being crooks. I should have checked out the investment. It would have been hard to figure out. They were behind in their payments. That's a matter of public record because they'd been served papers and so on. But that recklessness versus what I thought it was, that recklessness cost us millions of dollars, not just the cash out the door for the first payment, but for what it was supposed to be and what we expected to make of it, millions of dollars. So I should have been more cautious there. But if I discovered the facts, if I'd taken the time, then we wouldn't have gone forward with the deal. And there'd been another deal next week. Jay Ringer, my old friend who wrote several sarcastic, funny books, Winning Through Intimidation was one of them. Anyway, he said there's touchy money and there's no touchy money. Touchy money is money that's loose that you can invest. If you lost it all, it wouldn't make any difference. And there's no touchy money. The money you pulled off the table that is not in play anymore under any circumstances ever, with the possible exception to save you or your family's life, I guess. And I didn't understand the difference between touchy and no touchy money. I threw it all in one big pile, shoved it across the table, and lost it all in 10 minutes.
No. Are you talking about Robert Ringer?
Robert J. Ringer.
Yeah. Yep. Amazing book, that Winning Through Intimidation. Amazing book.
A lot of he wrote in a, I don't want to say crude way, but blunt way. A lot of people don't like his stuff because it sort of hits you right in the face.
Yeah.
But most of it is absolutely true, yeah. Whether you like him or not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually the first edition. If anybody wants to read it, they need to get the first edition, because if you get the editions after that, there's a lot of the truth taken out. Get the earliest one you can find. Absolutely. Okay, next one we're moving on to, and I think you've probably already touched on it with the partnership or the business that you was buying into, is wrong selection of associates in business. So these could be partners, could be co-directors, could be colleagues or associations that you build in with other organizations. So the wrong selection of association in business could be one of your, the killers of business. Let me give you an umbrella approach. Partnerships are a bad idea. Now I say that having had one of the most wonderful partnerships ever with Jimmy Rucker, but we'd known each other since high school, early years of high school. And so just going together in business was automatic. We double dated. We were bachelor roommates together. He attended my wedding. I attended his. He came out to California to work for me, and so on. So that's an exception to the rule. And every time I think about a partnership, I sort of check myself and say, okay, don't be fooled by what you and Rucker had. That was 1 in a million. Here's the problem with partnerships. They can't be equal. The ownership can be 50-50 or 51-49 if you're smart, but 50-50. But the work can't be. The talent can't be. I'm thinking of a partnership in my mind right now that every one of our viewers would know about, because one of the people was very famous. He was the front man, recorded things that changed your life, etc. His partner was a very good businessman, always keeping him in check, holding him back, creating frustration and so on. And the company never became what it could have become because it was a partnership at war with each other. And had it succeeded, there was one guy who should have had 70% of it, and the other 30, you can always hire an administrator. But it was 50-50. And 50-50 in voting shares. So partnerships, 99% of the time, very bad idea. And don't let the few that are exceptions to the rule fool you. And probably you don't know what's going on behind the scenes there either. And then as to business associates, I can give you a personal example. We had a company
I should have run the sales and marketing myself, but I was spread too thin. So I brought in a guy who I'd worked with in another business, who I knew was a killer salesperson. And I sort of knew that some of that was not ethical. I'll put the blame on me. I hired a person that I had doubts about, but it's all right because I took him to dinner and I said, here's what your history is. Here's what your reputation is. I don't need that. What I need is a killer salesperson who will drive these people into great success without me having to do everything. He said, not a problem. Well, you remember the story of the scorpion and the frog. He was a scorpion. And it's not like he was a bad person. He was a bad person, but my point is, I hired a scorpion and told him not to be a scorpion. And he said, okay, because that's what scorpions do. They'll agree to anything to get inside where they can bite you in the neck. And the business went under. Eventually, it survived 3 or 4 years of him. A, I shouldn't have hired him, and B, I should have pulled the plug sooner, but I didn't. And it caused all sorts of legal problems, business problems. We didn't bankrupt the company, but we should have. I over time paid everything off personally. So there's an example of bad business associates. So you mentioned earlier in this conversation, you are the composite average of the 5 or 6 people you spend the most time around, and the books you read, I think. But be careful who those 5 or 6 people are, whether it's social, business, or both. They can help make you. They can break you without your permission or cooperation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. The next major cause of business failure is superstition and prejudice. I mean, this can be deemed with associates, could be with employees, could be with partnerships, or your other spouse or your other half. So superstition and prejudice, at the end of the day, superstition on its own, I think, is enough. That could, again, put doubt into your head, hold you back in many ways, be suspicious of everybody around you, because the nature of the beast being yourself, or just those occasional superstitions. What do you reckon on that there, Ben?
I don't have a whole lot to put in here. I can tell you that I do have a superstition, which is don't celebrate your victories before they're victories. I don't even tell Gigi about a big sale. She might overhear me working on it or talking with somebody, but I don't even tell her about pending sales until the money is in the bank, because I have a feeling that that'll jinx it. Arnold Palmer, the great golfer, talked about it, I think, in a meeting I was at or something. But anyway, he said he was walking down the fairway. I think it was the 18th. It's not important, but near the end of the tournament, the crowd is cheering because he's up 3 or 4 strokes, and and he's Arnold Palmer. He's going to win. And he saw a friend of his over on the rope line, and he walked over, and the friend said, "Congratulations, you really deserve this one, and you earned it." And Arnold said, "Thank you very much," and accepted the congratulations for having won the tournament. Well, I'm going with this story. He did not win the tournament. He managed to do a quadruple bogey or so on that hole and lost the tournament. It's like the time he hit the ball down in the rocks at Pebble Beach and took a 16 on the hole. By the time he got, hit it and bounced off the rocks and all, somebody said to him, "Arnold, you took a 16 on the hole. How did that happen?" He said, "Well, I missed a putt about this long for 15. So, but he said that was the last time he ever accepted congratulations for a victory that was not yet sewn up, no matter how far ahead he was. And I've had
Superstitious
a
on
few
that
of
one
those.
now.
Yeah, I was ready to go to the trailer park convention as the new owner of one of the largest trailer parks in the southeastern United States. Unfortunately, they didn't invite me because I'd only owned it for 10 minutes. So I do have that superstition, but not many. And I'm proud to say I only have one prejudice, and it's not black, white, green, brown, or any other color. It's bad behavior. I really am prejudiced against bad behavior. I don't care how it came upon you, lack of raising, lack of training. If the end result is bad behavior, I want nothing to do with you.
Excellent, excellent. Right, this one now puzzles me a little bit. Wrong selection of vacation. How can that be a major cause of a business failure?
Las Vegas.
Leave your credit cards at home.
Yeah, I really don't know unless you do something incredible like hot air ballooning and combined with free jumping and you jump out of the balloon. But Las Vegas did come to mind. I've had friends who went there with a lot more money than they came back with on vacation. But other than that, I'll throw this in. I've told you before privately. One day I had a question about something Dr. Hill had written in The Law of Success or Think and Grow Rich or something. And so I asked him about it. And I said, explain this to me. And wrong selection of location wasn't it, but it could have been. I would have had questions about that. But I said, I don't understand this. And Dr. Hill picked up the book, looked at it, read it, and put it back. He said, Ben, sometimes you just have to fill up pages. He was in the midst of writing the book, and maybe it needed 15 more pages. So with his heart not as much into those 15 pages as perhaps the rest of the book, he just wrote something. And that was his explanation for one. It wasn't this one, but it could have been.
Makes sense. Some of the stuff.
I haven't a clue.
Okay, moving on to the next one is lack of concentration of effort. So again, as a major cause of failure, lack of concentration of effort. It speaks for itself, doesn't it, in true reality?
Yeah, one of the most frequent things Dr. Hill said to me was, Ben, focus. And that is true in just like I'm talking to you right now. There's a television set over to my left that's always on in case World War III breaks out. I'll be among the first to know it. And I've seen with my peripheral vision bulletin or some of the things they put up to make you pay attention flash several times. I've never looked over and won't. If World War III breaks out, it'll still be breaking out when you and I get off this meeting. So concentration is really important. Focus is really important. And then taking it a step further, concentration of effort, where you focus. Focusing is good versus not focusing. But what you focus on, if you got 5 things to do, whatever you do, you should focus on it while you're doing it. But you should also decide which of the 5 you're going to do next and focus on that. An old friend of mine, one of my many mentors, Ray Considine, said, Ben, ask yourself, and this is reinforced by numerous other people, including Dr. Hill, ask yourself 15, 20 times a day, self, is this the most important thing I can be doing right now? And if it is, then give it full concentration. If it's not, reorder your day.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Next, we move on to the habit of indiscriminate spending, a spendthrift. And I'm sure we've met a few of those between us.
Yeah, I've not only met them, I was one. I have a theory when you win the lottery or inherit a great deal of money or get signed as the quarterback or soccer player with the dominant team, and they're throwing millions of dollars at you. Before you can touch any of that money from any of those sources, you have to graduate from a seminar held by financial experts and psychologists, et cetera, to make sure that in a month or a year or 5 years, you're not back to being broke again. There is a tendency there used to be a character my mom and dad referred to all the time, because they said when I first started doing well, they used to call me Diamond Jim Brady. Now, I'm not sure who he was in literature or comic books or a book or whatever, but Diamond Jim Brady was a person who lived above his means, spent it too fast, didn't invest it. Everything was flash and dash. And I went through, I can justify it. If you say you're doing well in some businesses, you better look like you're doing well. So I had, at age 23, my first brand new Cadillac. But a lot of that was ego. It was necessary, sort of, at least not to be caught in the car I had when I joined the business, which was always 10 minutes away from being towed to the repair shop. But I went through the stage where, you want that house? Sure, get it. Get with a realtor and just make an offer. Let's do it. One time, there were two of us living in Marin County, my wife and me, and we had 4 luxury cars. There's only 2 of us. We had a young son, 2 or 3 years old, but he didn't drive much. So we had 4 luxury cars. Why? We could have had a nice car to impress business associates and a lesser car to go to the grocery store in, or when we weren't trying to impress somebody. 4 parked around a multi-million-dollar home in Marin County, California, one of the most expensive, wealthiest counties in the nation. Diamond incentive jewelry. I never did the pinky rings, but we were giving out pins with diamonds on them and rings with coated in diamonds and so on. I had become Diamond Jim Brady. So fortunately, I got through that. You know how I got through it? I went broke. The house was foreclosed on, the cars were towed away, and I drove into this town, Placerville, California, in 1976 with a nickel in my pocket and in a borrowed Mercury Bobcat. That's a car that looks like a shoebox that the dealer from whom I had bought over 300 luxury cars to give away lent me for 30 days to get out of town. So I had not yet read Jay Ringer's stuff about no touching money. If I'd had just that one rule, I would be several millions of dollars ahead of where I am now. And I would have never sunk into brokenness. They never would have gotten the house. They never would have gotten the cars. But I had salesman's disease. I can make it faster than they can take it. I can make it quicker than the bills come in, and so on. So I really wasn't a tacky, like Glenn Turner. You may remember him. He used to work for us, had a hair lip and cleft palate, and so on. Glenn looked like he got all his money yesterday. I mean, just boom, diamonds and this and that and orange suits and so on. He really had a bad case. I just relaxed and enjoyed what I made, figuring it would come forever. And I've since discovered that's not necessarily true. So you can be indiscriminate in your spending with $100, or you can be indiscriminate in your spending with millions of dollars. When you're done, you'll be at zero.
Right. Okay. Let's get down to lack of enthusiasm. How enthusiastic do you need to be in order to succeed versus lacking the enthusiasm and failing as a major cause of failure?
Well, if you have a system that can save you almost no matter what. And people say, I can't sell a product I'm not enthusiastic about. I can. I can sell a product that my prospect is enthusiastic about. If I have to sell a commercial jet, I was a pilot, sort of briefly. I have no desire to own another corporate plane. I have no desire to fly another plane, corporate or otherwise. But I can still, if you're in need of a corporate jet or a commercial jet, I can still sell it enthusiastically to you because of your needs. So I don't have to be enthusiastic. I need to follow a system. If I sell something you're enthusiastic about with integrity, in one of my books, I think The Closer's Part 2, I have a chapter about don't sell anything you wouldn't sell to your mother at full retail. And of course, that means if she needs a corporate jet or an ocean liner or something. So I can sell lots of things I'm not enthusiastic about. I can do lots of things I'm not enthusiastic about, because if I believe in the result that other people will get, I just drop it into my system and work it like making. So the greatest sausage maker in the world goes to work, throws raw meat in one end of a thing, it comes out the other, he puts it into intestines or whatever that thing is at the other end. And let's say he makes the world's best sausage. It's mundane, it's routine, it's following the system. He isn't enthusiastic about the sausage, he's enthusiastic about the praise he gets and the money he makes. And there are probably people who make sausage who don't eat meat.